views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this podcast are the content creator's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of Essex County College. The material and information presented here is for entertainment and informative purposes only. It should not be considered as professional advice or a substitute for seeking professional guidance.
Hello. It turns out Raw's critiques didn't work out because of a deleted comment that told me to get help, and also because I was running out of ideas, so I didn't want to just stick to constructive criticism. But I'll admit, you may or may not disagree with some of my takes. Now, I don't want to visually assault you, here on Short from Slobs, I reviewed hundreds of videos that either misinform you that your content has to be cinematic when you're a videographer, or even a content creator, and not a filmmaker, or gatekeepers that make me ride the AI hate train. This time, I'll be sharing with you how content creators prioritize hooks in their videos. You'll get used to it by the end of the semester.
Do not be offended, but you are a very stupid editor if you are rearranging your clips like this.
And just like that, you have lost all my time and interest. Get on the Great Loser Reset train.
Hi, my name is Hitesh Gill and this is Stop Being a Stupid Resolve User.
And in this show, I'll show you how stupid you'll be if you don't use shortcuts. Otherwise, this is a rage bait hook, where you'll either pay attention to it or you won't. There's a better website you can watch called I Didn't Know the Bitch Could Do That. You get a short tutorial under a minute, but it's also entertainment in some ways where you're learning something rather than getting more insulted.
If you want a list of more such shortcuts, just comment shortcut and I will share.
Go online to learn the basics of keyboard shortcuts. Next.
This effect is called
What do you know? More AI slop in front of me.
the AI crow effect. And here's how you can make one too. Step 1. Record yourself in 2 different locations and then go to your...
Shocker. You use it over Premiere Pro, but I digress.
Step 2. Now go to Hicksfield.ai.
Now imagine you pay for a subscription to use Nano Banana or Hicksfield AI, so some scummy corporation think that you're professional, and yet you haven't learned how to use After Effects yet. Sometimes the natural transitions aren't the best way to impress your audience. If a video is fully AI generated, including everything that you wear, I cannot support you. And by the way, it's not a simplified AI crow effect. It's Raven transition. And since this is a 2-step process, we'll move on to our next victim.
This guy went viral overnight by using the story of this guy. But the weird part,
You know where this is going.
this guy used the formula called this guy.
What?
This guy stinks!
So it gives you a framework of the Epstein files because this guy redacted everything we need to know about that guy. Using this formula, you'll be promised that your videos will become more predictable. So in other words, I'm just going to call you boring. But if you want to ruin my reputation, this guy made a document. So I want to know, what purpose are you serving when these creators are asking you to follow them, and then they tell you to comment sites when you're already sharing them in your video for free? The same goes for videos like 40 sites for video editors and sharing YouTube resources to become a filmmaker, but they gatekeep the links. Now I would play a clip of Winnie Testerberger saying, "Look it up, stupid," but I don't want to be the cause of a copyright strike. This guy doesn't need an introduction, because he's literally everything that I need to know about him, and why do I need to critique him? Here, he gives you very unlikely expectations that, as a beginner, you will only gain 201 views, while the professional receives 9.6 million views as a bragging point. Most content creators use this format to believe that you need to do better in 2026 to get more views. For example, the pro uses Viral Finder to steal viral videos and use ChatGPT to generate the same script and use his personality to make it different. If there's anything I have to say about most of his videos, Take inspiration as best as you can, but there's always going to be a fine line between plagiarism and originality. In my eyes, your professional is a fraud. Hook is 85% of white people watch. 36 hooks to make you seductive. Oh hell no, I'm done with this video. Number 1. Never use profanity to grab someone's attention. I promise you, you'll be infamous. Number 2. Never use seductive because you're not making an OnlyFans video, and mostly because you're not getting any women from any of these hooks. Number 3. If anyone constantly reminds you of how important hooks are, but they never give you the full context, their methods won't always work for everyone. Speaking of which, did you write your Bible today? Did you brush your teeth? Did you keep your New Year's resolution? This isn't the wrong way to film an ad because you're handheld. Instead, they tell you to take a photo of your product. Then, you should keyframe a still image when you can do the same thing with a tripod or a gimbal to add some motion. Finally, change the contrast and sharpen your video to make the trick happen, even though you're not even attempting to do color grading. If you truly care about your sponsorships, just get a gimbal for your phone. You're welcome.
Don't sell your services on Instagram.
In this video, you're forced to follow their account and they'll send you an automated message. As if hating ManyChat isn't enough for me to click off the video.
Step 1, open ChatGPT like
Next video.
Not scripting your videos is bad.
Again, these are unrealistic goals to be perfect. Say what you want to say, but if you're stealing a whole script without changing anything to make your video, I'll keep scrolling until I find an entertainment video that doesn't involve scummy practices.
Scripting your videos from scratch is good.
So I was just gonna say whether it was the same thing, but it turns out it wasn't. This guy was about to tell you that you're supposed to be writing you're supposed to be using this whole script template that already works instead of an original story. People are already doing fine making unscripted videos, and so is what I do whenever I do a loner episode. Sometimes I may have to go ahead and do a script, but then again, it has to allow me to improvise to the mic, otherwise I would have no idea what I'm doing. Now let's get back into the video. And also, since you said to comment out script to steal yours, how about I say no and I'll go to my next customer service representative. Before I end today's show, we'll take a quick look at some visual hooks that will give you a headache.
This is a rage bait hook.
Women don't have skin in the game, so they shouldn't vote.
And this is where I cross the line. If you are a content creator who makes rage bait hooks, you'll be blocked by me without parole. This is also the reason why I barely talk about women in my show, except for my upcoming Valentine's Day episode.
This is a random yap hook.
And it doesn't mean anything. Let me show you a hook of my own. Normally this would be my bedroom, but all of this is just unorganized gear. I don't have anything useful to say. Good night.
Wait, did you catch
I
that?
don't
Here's
care,
another
just let her go to
story.
work.
Oh my god, you go to therapy? Is there something wrong with you?
And another.
3 things I've learned as a 29-year-old who's achieved financial freedom.
They're all doing the same.
Can you shut up and
thing.
just let me watch your
It's
video
a
already?
sneaky little
Stop! If you had made your hook shorter, this video would have convinced me in 5 seconds.
I'm talking about the background music.
You could have just said that without distracting me with 1 word per second captions to gain over 9,300 comments from content farmers. And what's with the consistent editing error?
And it was an even bigger problem than this. Finding the right background music for a video, because every beat has a different tone to it. Some are cinematic.
But if you try to type in cinematic music for a short film, then you're a stereotype. Sometimes your videos won't need music, others do. So what? Now, instead of spending half your video complaining that finding background music is difficult, you should have come up with a solution to retain the viewer's attention span.
I've got a collection of audios, each category of content type.
And you can find it on Epidemic Sound, the sponsor of... Oh, who am I kidding? So if you didn't understand the first time, all of this is mostly distracting your viewers as a way to pretend that it's a visual hook. Could it make you viral? No, but it depends on execution. If I want you to look at me, I won't tell you to do it because you should know better. Also, this is one of the videos where they ask you to comment on viral for 5,000 hooks. If you still believe in this scam, cut it out. So, what did I learn today? To add an opening hook, you need to learn how to execute them properly, similar to an essay. If you choose to manipulate others, then it's another example of building trust issues next to gatekeeping. If you join a podcast club, your show won't always succeed if your goal is to only hit 100,000 views without any goals or a backup plan. There will be an upcoming episode where I'll discuss the mentality of internet grifters and content coaching. But that's all the time I have for today. This concludes our special segment from Ghost City Incorporated. We now return to our regular programming already in progress. What's good, John? Welcome back to yet another season of The Loner. Now, before I move on, I wanted to go ahead and give you guys a quick discussion on what's going on recently. So I was just recording my third episode for sure from Slobs, and apparently I've been having some technical issues. Or not some technical issues, let's just say I'm having some issues with recording. Because apparently there's still some drama going on with my uncle. Even my brother just tells me that I was so loud that he had to interrupt me 2 times already, and so I wasn't able to continue on with that episode. And also because I've also realized that sometimes my uncle, he just blasts the music when he can. And he also has his phone calls. Unfortunately for me, I will not be able to record. I promised myself I was going to record this episode in my bedroom. Unfortunately, I will not be able to do that. And Jerry just told me I'm still allowed to record either way in the temporary studio. In that case, I don't think they'll have a permanent room so far, because they went from room 3130 under Professor Riggs' class, and now they're up to the Dr. Martin Luther King library, so around the office, a blank office, you can say. So in that case, I may try to record that up. I may try to reuse that studio to record my retrospectives episode. Anyways, I'm not going to waste too much of your time, so we'll move on and just get straight to the second film festival. In that case, I own you that anyway. We're going to start with a couple of reruns from 2 semesters ago, with Theater Kills by Mariana, Petals of a Lily by Jasmine William Nisa, in a run for the 2025 Newark International Film Festival, or the Best Student Film, in that case, it's Ghosting by Angelique, but it's a 2025 re-edited version with a significant change in the background music. Then it's a prototype version of Alone to My Friend Somax, where the night owl was experiencing some sleep deprivation with energy drinks and a bottle of water. This film also features a debut song from my musical persona, X03E01, for which I made a documentary about how I grew up from Ecuadorian music and created my own remixes and my own EPs in FL Studio. Speaking of which, the story of X03E01 became an audience favorite thanks to a couple of students and my professors who found inspiration in my documentary and had their own stories to tell. Looking back at my first music video, I thought I could have improved the audio mix and mastering, since I heard the high frequencies more than the lower and mid-range frequencies, and that's all coming from the speakers itself. As a result, most of my mixes may be out of phase or it may sound off to you, so in that case, I really shouldn't worry too much about it, because if I choose to buy a studio monitors, it may sound better, but again, because of my uncle, it may also cause a distraction, so I'm still have to rely on my headphones. And even then, my headphones are not that as, I wouldn't say it's comfortable to wear all day. But in the end, Alone to My Friend Somax took home the Best Music Video Award, while my 14-minute documentary got the Official Selection Award under the Podcast Club. The runner-up was Music Through Animation, which was a last-minute submission from the 2D animation class. And I thought these 2 videos, mostly midterm with an exit and a 50% chance to retry, could have worked better as nominees, more than the animation itself. And this was not just because of the song selection, but it was because of the creative camera work and editing. I mean, sure, it could outperform me, but I still have a chance to redeem myself and even try out a lot of some new camera angles and maybe a new form of video editing. so I wouldn't rely on AI or Hicksville AI. But afterwards, it was now time for Professor Riggs' class to shoot our best films from the both TV and film classes from both Wednesday and Thursday sessions. So both of these have their chance to watch their TV pilots and even their short films. First off was Jazzy and Eric's Misconception, and it was basically my earliest attempts at keyframing as a video editor. You could also say that this was mostly a 90-second psychological horror short which was shot one afternoon at the MPT room. Now thankfully the club didn't screen the missing card because of the common inconsistencies with the color grading, and I wasn't able to do that successfully with an iPhone 16, and also because the locations felt a bit too similar from the bar to the registration scene. It's like doing a whole Polygon video all over again, or even a GoAdMate one if you know what I'm talking about. Either way, I ended up redeeming myself with missing diversions, which basically a majority of my students favor from that screenwriting class. They actually like my screenplay, that I'm not too sure if I ever want to use it as a short film and maybe develop it into like a 10 to 15 minutes type of film. So in that case, a full-length short film instead of the usual shorts, the mini shorts, even the short shorts, or whatever I would say it as. Other films to this roster include Embarrassment, 321 for its creative visual effects and consistent camera angles, Toy Frog, Coffee for its dramatic minute-long narrative, and Waiting, which stands out for its foley such as the clock. Elevator Grief depicts the many signs of grief when a man gets stuck in an elevator, symbolized through a silent film. And then finally we have a short documentary called History, A Choice by Jerry Johnson. While he ended up getting nominated for the Best Documentary category, it would have worked better if he had shown that it could have conveyed more as a political message rather than just 3 minutes of marching and music. But otherwise, I think his short film was good overall. I just thought there could have been more potential for him. Otherwise, I think it's fine. So, there you go. Moving on, it's time for us to go on and see what we missed out on our previous semester. And in that case, it's now time for me to talk about the film club. Carlos Enriquez is one of the newest members I've met. And basically, it's the same guy who told me to buy a cinema camera, which led me to consider the Sony FX30 for its Super 35 sensor and its overall experience. But otherwise, he said he would recommend a Canon C100 Mark II. I believe that's what he said. But otherwise, I still feel like as a filmmaker myself, or as a student filmmaker, I'm just grateful that he has involved when it came to the final film. And so at the end of the day, XY ended up looking like a Sundance winner because it ended up winning the best picture of the semester. Otherwise, I would probably say this. It's like if a concept creator would say that his film looks cinematic, it really wouldn't mean anything. So if you want to know more about his film, I would probably like for you to go ahead and watch this movie if you have a chance. Sounds familiar. It won the Best Documentary Award. By coincidence, I also met Anderson, which was the creator of this film, when he joined the morning classes under the script-to-screen program. In Photobook, I've noticed how the dialogue is barely audible over the background music. Now, unless this was intentional or it was because of the corrupted audio files, I wouldn't blame the editor unless if this was intentional, but otherwise, I guess you can say it's fine. Now, if there's one thing that Insufference Productions excel at, it's combining dark comedy and horror as shown by their next film, Twitch Dummy. And I feel like this film gave me a few chuckles. I guess you can say it was just as funny as the Essex County Murderers, I believe. But otherwise, it was just a parody fake live stream and its product placement on YouTube. Otherwise, the puppet just reminded me of a knockoff of Chucky from Child's Play. It just felt like it was supposed to be a recreation of some kind, but in that case, it just reminds me of a Gen Z parody of Child's Play. And then there's its other horror film, Killing Spirit, by Allison. Other submissions include Adventures of Kenny, inspired by a 1920s clown with a horror tone. While it didn't interest me as much as Welcome to Wonder Way, I've noticed that both creators use the same TV studio, which is the MPT room at Studio B. I feel like Meryl's work bled Sesame Street into something more darker, but in that case, this was more about discovery. Otherwise, I thought this pilot was interesting to watch, which isn't really another kids show. The other films also include All the Things We've Left Unsaid, A Perfect Day, which was a failed attempt at dating, and Wingman, which surprisingly came from the right writer's room, and you can say that I was impressed by the camera work, the grading, and even the editing. I feel like there's more potential from the right writer's room because they're from Arts High School. Not because I would say they're from Arts High School, I would be biased, but I've also realized that there's also the New Media High School. The next film also consists of SCP-9999, which I already criticized for its inconsistent color grading and the low light circuits between the Panasonic and the iPhone. And I thought they could have done more of this with the SCP lore, which, if you want to know more about that, then go check out Your Early and Late, because I did criticize this film even though you may have loved this film. If you are a college student, you may have loved this film. Me, I would say it was overall decent, but not the best film that they shot. So it's just my opinion, don't go ahead and, fight me at least. Anyways, I've realized that I've underestimated that because apparently with the sound design, they made it a better experience than the visuals itself. Though I could have said, maybe if they overlaid a blank VHS tape to emulate analog horror, maybe this film I probably would have believed in this film better. Michael Flores returned with another documentary called Film Club Reels, which he basically made a whole documentary about the film club within the club room. And finally, we have Blue Arrow, which is one of Richard's best films, which he focuses more on overcoming perfectionism, and then there's also criticism as an artist. So in that case, I would probably say it's another film that I would recommend for you guys to watch. Again, if I have the chance, I would probably tell you link in the description, but I don't think the editor knows how to do so. But if you have the chance, go ahead and go listen to it, go watch it on the Writer's Room. He's going to also screen that in his festival as well, so if you have the time, go ahead and support this dude, because even though he has, at least from what I know, he basically moved to Union, so wish him luck in his future. But otherwise, go ahead and look it up yourself on YouTube, because it's actually one of my favorite films that I've watched, or at least one of my favorite films that I've seen over the past 3 hours, and that's within the film festival. But I think I said what I already said. But with that being said, that concludes Thursday's screening, and that said, I think I would tell you I'm done. But it's now time for me to talk about what's been going on outside the family drama. So earlier I mentioned that I wrote 2 films, and they have potential to be a collaborative effort. The third one includes a continuous shot called Rage Jam, and this is based out of my true experience out of traffic jams, at least you can probably say in the Club Blizzard. For Mr. Dangerous, I chose to make a Mr. Beast parody where it takes place in an empty theater. And it's basically similar to Theater Kills, but it's not going to be like a horror film, so it's not going to be. It's like a fake reality TV show. For Stalker's Denial, it's about a high school student who attempted to enroll in a private institution called New Media University, which it's basically a parody of its recent announcements from New Media High School, but it's more about accountability as well, so it's basically just a way for them to play cat and mouse on rejecting his rejection letters. And that's also based on TikTok, so if you already know that, then you probably know what I'm talking about. And I feel like this whole behavior of rejecting college letters, I feel like it's unethical. So I want to go ahead and explain that in the film. So let's just say if they're not satisfied, but if they do want to film this short film, I'll allow to. Anyway, so now I think I said enough about that. Now, to wrap up the coverage, I want to explain about why I've been distancing myself from the major club members. And here's where I want to go ahead and tell you a story for a little bit. As soon as I was about to leave, Mariana came to me and asked if the drama was still going on. And out of respect, I told her no. The next thing, she apologized to me and told me that I was welcome to rejoin the club if I wanted to. So it's not really obligated for me to come back and just say no. But then again, I don't want to see myself as immature and just start out more drama, which I'm not going to be doing from now on. So, nothing wrong so far. Everything was turning fine until the next semester. Here's the thing. What I didn't expect was for her and Izzy to enroll in the film literature class, knowing I was going to be here to write more essays and even watch a couple of films like The Truman Show. But thankfully, it wasn't the case because we ended up watching a couple of films and I ended up having a new group to talk to. So whenever there's going to be a group assignment, at least I have someone to talk to, if it's important, but otherwise I remain to be silent like the quiet kid. For them, they didn't expect that after the club fair, I chose to return unannounced. I never said anything to them. But for some reason, they've noticed me, and this was after we were doing some welcomes. Basically, we're just doing the icebreaker. What was my name and what was I going to do? So, I said my name, but I wish to remain anonymous until I can trust them again. That was just my request. So I actually just changed my Discord name from X24 to temporarily anonymous, and this is because of trust issues. So, for now, I see myself as an observer, not a full-time member yet. And also, to clarify, no, I am not saying that I don't want to see them again, even if they're going to graduate, forcing me to have some new collaborators anyway. Either way, the main issue isn't about the girls. The main issue isn't about the drama itself. It's more about my insecurities. But there you have it. The drama has ended, but no one's obligated to rebuild my trust. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and end it here and continue forward with my next set of shenanigans after the Valentine's Day episode, Gunner's Attraction. Again, just be warned about my controversial topics, and so if you're uncomfortable with it, you can come back in 2 weeks so we can have a safer topic around a generic episode, and hopefully I'll be able to record that in a proper studio instead of my bedroom. So again, next episode is going to be called Gunner's Attraction, so warning to all of you. This will be a controversial episode, so I would like to warn you. If you are a female, if you are a woman watching this episode or listening to this episode, then take this with a grain of salt. So with that being said, thank you guys again for listening to the bedroom edition of The Loner, and thank you guys again for listening and watching Short from Slobs episode number 2. Episode 2, by the way, it was called, I believe it was called Hooking for Mediocrity. And this episode that you're watching right now is called Seeing Me on Screen. So with that being said, it's me, The Loner, once again, and I will catch you guys next week with Valentine's Day. And if you don't want to watch it, or if you don't want to listen to it, come back in 2 weeks and we'll be back with a generic episode, or in that case, Shenanigans from the Internet Part 2.
This has been a production of the Essex County College Podcast Club. Copyright 2024, all rights reserved.